what they also don't realize, we have an interesting graphic here, I just want to show this, what they also don't realize a lot is at a very basic level what they're paying in taxes or what's happening in terms of tax policy. Here's one, this is a couple years old, but I think it's really telling. This is Americans' attitudes, this is asked if President Obama increased or decreased taxes. Okay, this is a poll from 2010. Now you remember that the stimulus, the big thing on the stimulus was like 95, tax cuts for 95% of the public. Did you get an Obama tax cut? 8% of people said that Obama cut their taxes. 33% said he increased them. 50% said he kept the same. So, when you get a tax cut, something people are supposed to want, and this was real. This happened. It showed up in their paychecks.
That's a comment on the president's failure to explain what he was doing.
I agree with you.
On the press's failure to explain what was going on, and the Republicans' mandation.
It's not upset. I find this the challenge that that tax policy has for middle-class Americans is that wages have declined. We have a 10-year wage decline. So people have gotten these tax cuts, but their wages have declined too. So their absolute wealth is not actually increasing with these tax cuts. It's not just a failure to communicate. We have a big, large-scale challenge. And what I would say to my Republican friends is that the central thesis of their economic growth strategy has been tax cuts. And tax cuts have proven, we have lived experience. We keep cutting taxes and growth goes down. In fact, for the period from 2000 to 2008, we had the worst growth rate of any presidency ever and the highest cuts in decades. And so that's what the problem, we just have a failed experiment that is the central thesis of the Republican Party, and we have to deal with that.
That's not the central thesis of the Republican Party. It is one of the tenets of the Republican Party, because when you're talking about that same time
period, it drives all of their policies,
you have
every single one.
But you also have explosive government growth. You've got government spending that's out of control, and that...
It's not out of control. Congress votes it. It's not out of control.
Well, but it's not true that it's increasing.
Congress votes for it. I'm sorry.
The deficit is rapidly shrinking under Obama.
But
after he exploded, after he increased spending by 84%. I mean, seriously, this is laughable that you're telling me these deficits and fiscal restraints are now materializing
into a depression. You just put us into a depression.
This is the central lie.
But I'm challenging your assertion that the deficit and the size of government is shrinking after Obama and congressional Democrats took spending and the size of government to all-time highs.
This is the central lie. This is the central lie of our political debate right now.
Absolutely.
You just said. The fact is, what happened to our deficit is, after it was cut, after it went down, after it went up rather because of the Bush tax cuts and the wars and everything. But since Obama took office, remember the CBO before Obama took office said the 2009 deficit was going to be $1.4 trillion, and it was. Why? And it was hugely increased. Why? Because when you get a recession, when you get a depression such as we're in, two things happen. One, revenues plummet, taxes plummet, people aren't working, they don't pay income taxes, number one, and so taxes plummeted. And number two, automatic spending on unemployment insurance and on food stamps goes up because more people don't have money
to eat. And Jerry, if you don't have part two that you did, that's when you get the Great Depression.
That's right, because
this is a break to stabilize. It is a stabilizer.
But the spending that can be controlled. And by the way, when the recession ends, then your unemployment insurance expenditures and food stamps go down again, and your tax revenues go up again. That's why you should have a big deficit during a recession.
Okay,
but
the
part of spending that Congress can control, all the discretionary spending has been going down, not up. There's been
that's because of what happened in 2011. Republicans started cutting spending with CRs, with the debt limit debate. This is why discretionary spending is going down.
Started going down before the Republicans took over
Congress. The focus is not deficits. The deficits is just the delta between how much you're spending and how much you're taking in, which is too much from a small government perspective. And if you're talking, if you're going to talk about deficits, though, the president's budget that was just released is $2 trillion more in deficits than he had estimated when he first did come into office.
But
so if deficits are the problem, he's feeling by his own accord.
Mattie, here's what I would like to see Republicans support. We are going to be poorer in the future because we are cutting spending on basic research. The cell phones that we all have grow from government spending in the past. The jet airplanes we fly in come from government spending. The computers we use, the math in them, all come from government spending. We should be spending money on
government spending.
That's right. We need to be spending money on research, development, and education, and the Republicans want to cut all of
that. The point is that there needs to be priorities at one point, and we can't keep spending on everything that we like. And that is the question that I want answered from you guys, is that if we have all of these priorities that are, in fact, good ideas, and we need the government to invest in them, how do we actually continue to fund those priorities?
By getting more revenue, and for you, ending the tax dogma, I think is the...
Mattie Duppler, Americans for Tax Reform, author and journalist David K. Johnston, thank you for your time today. Progressives are winning big on social issues, but failing on economic ones. What's going on? That is next.